Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state and government, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of heads of state, ladies and gentlemen, members of the diplomatic corps and representatives of international organizations, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Constitutional Court, ladies and gentlemen, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, members of constituted bodies, ladies and gentlemen, members of religious denominations, ladies and gentlemen, eminent members of the class of wise men, customary and traditional leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my dear compatriots, it is with immense emotion, sincere humility, and profound responsibility that I address you. First and foremost, allow me to give thanks to God. To God. Yes, to God. May He grant me the wisdom and discernment necessary to govern for the flourishing of the Gabonese people. Allow me to also spare a humble thought for our founding fathers who had ceaselessly tilled the soil of our democracy. Their courage inspires us. Their sacrifices oblige us. Gabonese people, my dear compatriots, the one standing before you today is not celebrating his victory, nor that of a party, nor of an ethnic group. He wants to pay homage to the rebirth of a nation. On this solemn day when we celebrate democratic renewal, my words will never be strong enough to express my deep and sincere gratitude. At this precise moment, I am thinking of the other candidates who took part in this election. Gabonese people, my dear compatriots, on April 12th, you chose, in the exercise of your inalienable sovereignty, expressed at 94.85%, to open a new chapter in our history. You have taken an act of faith, faith in the Republic, faith in democracy, faith in its future. Through this plebiscite, you have affirmed your right to meaningful change that consolidates our commitment to responsible and participatory governance. Through this plebiscite, you have conferred upon me a sacred legitimacy that makes me the custodian of a new experience where every vote counts. My dear compatriots, I measure with gravity the immensity of this charge. Today, I am not simply acceding to the highest office.
Je prends un engagement.
I make a commitment.
L'engagement de servir.
A commitment to serve, protect, and unite all Gabonese, including those in the diaspora. This is the meaning of my oath taken today. The mandate that begins is yours. The political project I have presented is ours. It outlines a different Gabon, in line with our aspirations. Every citizen.
Le projet politique que j'ai présenté est le nôtre. Il dessine un Gabon différent, en phase avec nos aspirations. Peuple gabonais.
Gabonese people, my dear compatriots,
Il me plaît également
I also take pleasure in expressing the various gratitude of the Gabonese people
aux pays amis,
to the friendly countries and international institutions that supported our transition process.
notre processus de transition. Merci à tous ces chefs d'État.
Thank you to all the heads of state and government.
Merci à tous ces chefs d'État et de gouvernement qui ont fait le
Thank you to all the heads of state and government who traveled to Libreville and to those who were unable to attend.
Mes remerciements.
My thanks also go to the 2,000 observers present on national territory for this election.
2000 observateurs présents sur le territoire national pour cette élection. Mes chers compatriotes,
My dear compatriots, ladies and gentlemen,
l'élection du président de la République
the election of the President of the Republic ends the transition process and therefore marks the return to constitutional
et
order.
marque en conséquence le retour à l'ordre constitutionnel. Il sera complété
It will be completed by the organization of legislative and local elections.
Pour ce faire,
To this end,
les élections jumelées
the twin legislative and local elections are entitled to be held on September 27th and October 11th, 2025.
11 octobre 2025. En ce qui concerne l'élection des sénateurs,
Regarding the election of senators,
celle-ci aura lieu
this will take place on November 8th and 29, 2025.
Toute chose
All this will allow our country to have an elected parliament as early as November 4th, 2025 for the National Assembly and December 15th, 2025 for the Senate.
pour l'Assemblée nationale. Et le 15 décembre 2025 pour le Sénat. S'agissant
Regarding the Economic, Social, Environmental and Cultural Council,
social, environnemental et culturel, sa mise en place
it will be established on December 1st, 2025.
Enfin,
Finally,
les juges constitutionnels désignés
the constitutional judges appointed on December 19th will be sworn in on December 23rd, 2025.
L'issue de ce processus
The outcome of this process marks the end of the organization of the constitutional institutions of the Fifth Republic on
de la
Gabonese soil.
5e République en terre gabonaise. En matière de justice,
In matters of justice,
les saintes écritures
the Holy Scriptures teach us that it is justice that elevates a nation.
qui élèvent une nation. La 5e République
The Fifth Republic,
que nous appelons de tous nos vies
which we call for with all our hearts,
pose l'exigence
requires an end to impunity, corruption, greed, laxity and laziness,
à la corruption, à la cupidité, au laxisme et à la paresse. L'administration
The administration must be efficient.
chaque citoyen
Every citizen,
dépositaire de l'autorité de droit
who is the custodian of legal authority, must fulfill their duties in compliance with the laws and regulations in force,
règlements en vigueur, afin d'installer
This is to establish a true rule of law.
sur le plan social.
On the social front, I remain aware that there are many
Que les
expectations:
attentes sont nombreuses. La santé,
health,
l'éducation,
education,
l'accès à l'eau,
access
et à
to water and
l'énergie,
energy,
le logement,
housing,
la vie chère, la précarité des emplois,
the high cost of living,
la sécurité
job insecurity,
sont au
and security
cœur
are at the
de
heart of
mes
my
préoccupations.
concerns.
Sur le plan économique,
Economically,
le Gabon restera une terre d'opportunités.
Gabon will remain a land of opportunity, welcoming all investors.
Nous allons diversifier notre économie.
We will diversify our economy through the processing of our raw materials.
L'État mettra en place
The government will implement incentives to promote youth employability.
en faveur de l'employabilité des jeunes. Dans le domaine des infrastructures,
In the area of infrastructure, we must rebuild our industrial base, develop services, and create
développer
jobs.
les services et créer les emplois. Bâtir des infrastructures de qualité
Building quality road, port, rail, and energy infrastructure are all actions that clearly need to be taken.
et énergétique sont autant d'actions qu'il faut à l'évidence mener. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs,
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state and government,
j'ai saisi la présente circonstance
I took this opportunity to affirm Gabon's determination to make its voice heard in the community of
à faire
nations,
entendre sa voix dans le concert des nations. Et à renforcer
and to strengthen its position on the international stage.
À ce titre,
In this regard, Gabon would like to welcome its return to the great family of the African Union,
famille de l'Union africaine, telle qu'actée
as enshrined by the meeting of the Peace and Security Council on April 30, 2025, in Addis Ababa.
avril 2025 à Addis Abeba. Notre pays,
Our country has learned a lot,
et je voudrais à cet égard
and in this regard,
saluer la forte implication
I would like to acknowledge the strong involvement of His Excellency João Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola, current Chairman of the African Union,
en exercice de l'Union africaine. Mesdames et Messieurs,
ladies and gentlemen,
pour renouer avec les grandes rencontres diplomatiques,
50 years after hosting the Uya Summit, my country, Gabon, wishes to build anew in 2027 the 8th Coordination Summit of the African Union.
à nouveau, en 2027, le 8e sommet de la coordination de l'Union africaine. De plus,
Furthermore,
nous formulons le vœu
we express the wish to host the 22nd Summit of the Francophonie here in Libreville in 2030.
la francophonie, ici à Libreville. Par ailleurs, il nous plaît
Furthermore,
d'exprimer notre profonde
we are
reconnaissance
pleased to express our deep gratitude to the facilitators appointed by the Economic Community of Central African States,
de l'Afrique centrale. Le président Faustin Archange Touadéra,
President Faustin Archange Touadéra,
qui n'a ménagé
who spared no effort under the leadership of his peers at the CAC to successfully complete his mission.
mener à bien sa mission. Je voudrais saluer
I would like to acknowledge the multifaceted support of the CAC, the African Union, the United Nations, the Francophonie, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Commonwealth, and the European Union, who has stood by us during these 19 months of transition,
ainsi que de l'Union européenne, qui ont été à nos côtés pendant ces 19 mois de transition. Le Gabon se tiendra toujours.
Gabon will always stand.
Nous tiendrons nos engagements
We will keep our commitments to our international donors and development partners,
internationaux et de nos partenaires au développement, tel que nous l'avons fait.
as we have done throughout the transition.
À ce propos,
In this regard, a dialogue will be opened with the IMF and the World Bank to better restructure our external debt.
pour mieux restructurer notre dette extérieure. Gabonaises, Gabonais,
Gabonese people,
mes chers compatriotes,
my dear compatriots,
alors que nous abordons une nouvelle et radieuse
as we
page
turn a
de
new
nos
and
vies
bright page in
ensemble,
our book together, I invite you, despite the complexities of this
malgré les
world,
complexités
to dream
de ce
big.
monde, à rêver grand. En ce temps de pardon et de réconciliation nationale,
In this time of forgiveness and national reconciliation, together let us cultivate the hope and determination to build a new Gabon,
de bâtir un Gabon nouveau, un Gabon qui illumine
a Gabon
l'avenir
that illuminates the future with its unity, solidarity, and spirit of innovation.
et son esprit d'innovation. En plus de la décentralisation,
In addition to decentralization, the Liberation Day celebrations of August 30th will now be a rotating celebration to accelerate the development of our provinces and their
pour
local
accélérer le
communities.
développement de nos provinces et leurs collectivités locales. Le chemin
The path to growth and happiness will be long,
félicité sera long. Mais avec le travail,
but with work, discipline, effort, and faith in our country, we will move
la
mountains.
foi en notre pays, nous déplacerons les montagnes. Mon devoir m'est dicté,
My duty is dictated by the trust the Gabonese people have placed in me.
m'a manifesté. Ce devoir,
This duty will be carried out with the support and patriotism of each of
et
you,
le patriotisme de chacun de vous. Vive la 5e République,
Long live the Fifth Republic,
vive le Gabon immortel,
long live immortal Gabon.
que Dieu bénisse le Gabon
May God bless Gabon and all the nations of the
et
world.
toutes les nations du monde. Peuple gabonais,
Gabonese people,
je vous aime,
I love you.
je vous remercie.
I thank you.